The 401k is sold as a benefit. It's framed as a gift, something responsible adults do, something smart people set up early so their future will be secure. The HR department hands you a glossy brochure with smiling retirees on a sailboat, and they tell you that if you just sign the paper, if you just give them a percentage of your life every 2 weeks, you'll be safe. They tell you it's free money. They tell you it's tax smart. They tell you it's the path to freedom. But the truth is much darker and much simpler. The 401k is not designed to make you free. It is designed to keep your labor trapped inside the system for decades, while shifting risk onto you and draining liquidity out of your present life. It is a containment field for your capital. It doesn't just benefit the system. It actively keeps you poor while you're alive. It turns you into a feedlot animal for the financial industry, fattening you up for a harvest that you might not even live to see. Here's what most people don't understand. When you put money into a 401k, you are not saving money. You are converting liquid purchasing power into locked paper claims. You are taking the energy you expended today, the hours you slaved away, the stress you endured, and you are handing it over to a custodian who locks it in a digital vault that you do not hold the key to. You see a number on a screen going up, but that number does not translate into improved quality of life today. You can't touch it. You can't use it. You can't deploy it where it actually matters. You are looking at a mirage, and that has real devastating consequences. The system tells you this is discipline. In reality, it's deprivation. It is self-imposed austerity designed to provide liquidity to Wall Street while you struggle to pay for groceries. Let's start with the tax argument, because that's how the 401k is sold. That is the hook. You're told that contributions are tax deferred. You're told you're saving money by not paying taxes now. They make it sound like you are pulling a fast one on the IRS. What they don't tell you is that tax deferred does not mean tax-free. It means you're trading a known tax rate today for an unknown tax rate decades in the future. Think about the environment we are in. Look at the national debt. It is over $34 trillion and climbing vertically. Look at the unfunded liabilities for Social Security and Medicare. The government is bankrupt. Do you honestly believe that tax rates in 20 or 30 years will be lower than they are today? Do you think the government, desperate for revenue to service its debt, is going to treat your massive pot of retirement money gently? You have no idea what tax policy will look like when you retire. You have no idea what brackets will exist. You have no idea what rules will change. By deferring taxes, you are essentially bringing the government on as a silent business partner who gets to decide their percentage of the profits retroactively, decades after you did the work. And you don't get to opt out when that day comes, because the system forces you to take distributions on its schedule. Required minimum distributions are not optional. They are forced liquidation events. The government decides when you sell, how much you sell, and how much they take. So you didn't avoid taxes. You postponed them into uncertainty. You walked blindly into a tax trap. Next comes the returns argument. You're shown charts, long-term averages, smooth upward lines that imply patience always wins. They show you the S&P 500 over 40 years and say, look, it always goes up. This is statistical manipulation designed to lull you into sleep. Markets do not operate on averages. Human lives operate on timelines. If there's a major downturn near the end of your working life, decades of contributions can be erased right when you need them most. This is called sequence of returns risk, and it is conveniently ignored in every glossy retirement brochure. If the market crashes the year before you retire, you don't have time to wait 10 years for it to recover. You are ruined. The market does not care when you need the money. The algorithm does not care about your retirement plans. If the market crashed, the company still had to pay you. That was a liability they wanted off their books. So they invented the 401k to shift the risk from institutions onto individuals. The employer offloaded responsibility. The asset managers kept their fee streams, and you absorbed all the downside. Every paycheck you contribute becomes guaranteed inflow for the system. Think about the scale of this. Every 2 weeks, millions of Americans automatically buy stocks and bonds without looking at the price, without looking at the value, without thinking. This creates a mindless bid in the market that artificially props up asset prices. Asset managers get paid whether you win or lose. The mutual funds charge their expense ratios. The administrators charge their fees. Fund managers get liquidity every 2 weeks, like clockwork. The system gets stability. You get exposure. Your retirement account is someone else's liquidity pool. You are the exit liquidity for the smart money. When the hedge funds want to sell at the top, who do you think is buying? You are, automatically, without asking questions. But none of that is even the worst part. The real damage of the 401k happens in the present. It happens right now, today, while you are reading this. When you lock up your money, you don't just delay consumption. You delay life upgrades that actually reduce your cost of living. This is the concept of opportunity cost, and it is the invisible killer of the working class. Think about this. If that money were accessible, even in modest amounts, you might be able to shop at Costco or Sam's Club instead of buying overpriced groceries week to week at Publix or Winn-Dixie. Bulk buying lowers your per unit cost. That adds up every single month. But you can't do that if your cash is locked away in a Vanguard target date fund. You are forced to be poor today because your capital is in prison. Maybe you could save enough for a reliable car instead of riding the bus or driving a beater that constantly needs repairs. Transportation inefficiency costs time and money, time you never get back, money you keep bleeding on mechanics and towing fees. But you can't fix that problem if your cash is locked away. You are forced to bleed cash slowly because you aren't allowed to access your own capital to stop the bleeding. Maybe you could keep a small buffer so you can pay down extra principal on your mortgage. That alone would save tens or hundreds of thousands in interest over the life of the loan. That's real, tangible value. That is a guaranteed return on investment. But instead, your cash is inaccessible, so you pay full interest to the bank like a good, compliant borrower. The bank loves your 401k because it ensures you stay in debt. It ensures you don't have the liquidity to pay them off early. This is the part people miss. Illiquidity is not neutral. It actively makes your life more expensive. It forces you to use credit cards for emergencies, paying 25% interest, while your own money earns 7% in the market, if you're lucky. Think about the insanity of that. You are borrowing money at usurious rates because the government won't let you touch the money you already earned. By removing flexibility from your present, the system increases your dependency. You spend more to live, you waste more time, you lose more optionality, you stay in the job you hate because you can't afford to quit, because all your wealth is tied up in a box you can't open, and then you're told to be grateful because your account balance looks bigger on paper. This is how the trap tightens. You are poorer today so you can maybe be less poor later, and that later is not guaranteed. The entire 401k framework assumes a future that history does not support. It assumes political stability. It assumes market continuity. It assumes currency integrity. It assumes no major disruptions, no rule changes, no resets. It assumes that the United States dollar will still be the world reserve currency in 40 years. It assumes that the rules of the game won't change just because the people in power run out of money. That is not how systems behave over long periods of time. Governments change rules when they get desperate. They nationalize pensions. They implement means testing. They create wealth taxes. Your 401k is the easiest target for a desperate government because it is registered, tracked, and locked in a centralized database. You have nowhere to hide it. Meanwhile, the penalties keep you compliant. Touch the money early, and you're punished. A 10% penalty, plus income tax. They treat you like a criminal for trying to access the fruit of your own labor. Try to reallocate, and you're constrained to the approved list of funds. You can't buy gold bars with your 401k easily. You can't buy a rental property with your 401k easily. You can't invest in your own business. You have to invest in their companies, their stocks, their bonds. The message is clear. Don't touch it. Don't question it. Keep working. Keep feeding the machine. This is not freedom. It's deferred dependency. It is a psychological operation designed to make you passive. It trains you to be a passenger in your own financial life. Set it and forget it is the slogan of a slave. A sovereign man does not set it and forget it. A sovereign man actively manages his resources. A sovereign man wants control. And here's the final insult. Even if everything goes right, even if markets perform, even if policies remain favorable, even if you navigate the minefield of fees and taxes and inflation, what do you actually have? You don't have productive land. You don't have tangible assets. You don't have a business that generates cash flow. You don't have things that reduce your cost of living or increase your resilience. You have paper claims denominated in a currency that is itself inflationary. You have digital credits in a system that can deplatform you or debase you at the push of a button. You worked your entire life to end up with permission slips. You traded the sweat of your brow, the best years of your youth, and the energy of your body for a number on a server that represents a currency that is melting like an ice cube in the sun. That's why the 401k doesn't just fail to save you. It keeps you stuck. It keeps your money unavailable when it would help you most. It keeps you spending more to live. It keeps you dependent on wages longer than necessary. And it keeps the system fed with predictable inflows of capital that the elites use to buy the real assets that you are priced out of. While you are buying mutual funds, BlackRock is buying single-family homes. While you are buying bonds, the central banks are buying gold. Watch what they do, not what they tell you to do. They want you in the paper market so they can dominate the real market. This is modern financial serfdom, not chains, not whips, just dependency, compliance, and delayed access. They have built a prison out of tax codes and penalty clauses, and they have convinced you to walk into it and lock the door yourself. They have convinced you that the prison is a sanctuary. The lie is not that saving is bad. Saving is essential. The lie is that locking up your purchasing power in paper claims makes you secure. It doesn't. Security comes from flexibility. Security comes from optionality. Security comes from assets you can deploy when life demands it, not when the system allows it. Security comes from holding the keys to your own kingdom. If your money cannot improve your life today, if it cannot fix your car, if it cannot buy your food, if it cannot pay off your debt, it is not protecting you. It is controlling you. It is a leash, and the longer you contribute, the shorter that leash gets. And that is the 401k trap. It is the mechanism by which the middle class is harvested. It is the mechanism by which your time is stolen twice. Once when you work for the money, and again when the money is locked away to serve the system instead of serving you. Wake up. Stop feeding the beast that eats you. Reclaim your capital. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your life.